right, fifth graders, we are starting a new standard. We have Georgia Standards of Excellence, fifth grade, numbers and operations in base 10. And this is the second standard in the domain of numbers and operations in base 10. This standard says, remember, you do not have to copy this down. Explain patterns in the number of zeros of the product when multiplying a number by powers of 10, and explain patterns in the placement of the decimal point when a decimal is multiplied or divided by a power of 10. Use whole number exponents to denote powers of 10. So in this lesson, we're going to write and evaluate repeated factors in exponent form. So let's highlight. We're going to write and evaluate repeated factors in exponent form. This is key. Now you can write down the lesson objective on your video response sheet if you want to. But make sure you have the standard. We're still in Unit 1, but make sure you have the standard on your video response sheet. Before you start taking out any notes, make sure you have your pencil, journal, with your video response sheet glued in, okay? Then you can start taking notes. So this standard, this is not going to be the only video that we're working with this standard. This is just this is a part of the standard. So this video is only going to be one part of it. So when I upload the video, I'm going to put the lesson title next to it so you guys would know that there's more NBT2 videos coming, and that this specific video is tailored to writing and evaluating repeated factors in exponent form, okay? So with that being said, let's go ahead and move on. Now you can pause the video now and go ahead and copy all of this down. So pause the video. Now, let's go ahead and go over what you just copied down. You can represent repeated factors with a base and an exponent. So you can evaluate repeated factors or represent repeated factors with a base and an exponent. So remember in Standard 5081, we talked about order of operations. And when we use PEMDAS as our guide to help us evaluate order of operation, our numerical expressions, we had P for parentheses, and then the E stood for exponents. This right here is your exponent. Your exponent is always going to be attached to a base number. In this case, this 10 is our base number, and 7 is our exponent, or it's also known as our power, okay? Now the base is the number that is going to be raised to that power. So your base is always going to be the number that's repeated. The exponent or the power tells you how many times to multiply this base by itself. So a common misconception that fifth graders that a lot of fifth graders have is that they will look at 10 to the 7th power as our example. They will say, oh, Miss Davis, 10 to the 7th power, that is easy. I know exactly what to do. Watch me, Miss Davis. And then they'll go, and then they'll drop the mic. They'll be like, done. And I'm like, well, yeah. We have to understand what each part of this power of 10 means before we can start evaluating. It may look like, oh, I multiplied that 10 and that 7 together, but actually this exponent tells you how many times to multiply that base by itself. So this misconception right here is a no-no. How about this? You guys copy down this misconception and then put in parentheses underneath it, don't do this. Don't do this. This is not how you evaluate or find the value of this exponent, okay? So I'm going to show you exactly how to find the value of the exponent. So copy this down if you need to by pausing it, and we can move on. All right, so let me show you how to properly evaluate it. Now, there's two ways. There's a long, precise way, and there's also a shorter, precise way if you choose. So I'm going to give you both options. Let's start with the longer way, okay? You're probably like, oh, why would she start with the long way? Because I just want to show you both options. So give me a chance. 10 to the 7th power. 10 is my base, so 7 is telling me how many times to multiply my base together. So I'm going to write 10, 3, 4 10s, 5 10s, 6 10s, 7 10s. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I have 7 10s. That's my base. My exponent told me 7. I wrote 10 7 times. All right. Now, let's multiply. You know what 10 times 10 is, right? 100, of course. Okay, so let's do 10 times 10, 100, all right. Now let's do this 10 times 10, 100, and then let's just bring down. Okay, now 10 times 10, 10,000, okay. 100 times 10, all right, that's a lot. Now I have 10,000 times 1,000. 10,000 times 1,000 equals 10 million. You see all of that time that we took just to evaluate and see what 10 to the 7th power represents? 10 million? That took some time. You don't want to waste that time, do you? No, sorry, bye. So let me show you how to take the precise but quicker route to evaluating the powers of 10, okay? So pause the video and copy this down. And I'm going to call this long, but it's good. Long, but it's good. All right, now I'm going to erase this. Now, let's get down to business. So now I have same one, 10 to the 7th power. All I'm going to do is say, all right, 10 is my base. I know that. Now, my exponent, or my power, says 7. So, how many zeros am I supposed to have? 7. So I'm going to write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, comma, 1, 2, 3, comma. Oh my goodness. Look at that. That only took me 2.5 seconds. Look there. I evaluated what my base was. I saw my exponent. Instead of multiplying 10 by itself 7 times, I went ahead and just counted my exponent and said, okay, I'm going to have 7 zeros in my value for 10 to the 7th power. That gave me 10 million, which is the exact same thing that I had a little while ago before I erased it. Same thing, see? So remember, your base is the number that is going to be raised to a power. That means I'm going to write 10 to the 7th power. I'm going to write 10 sevens. 10 times 10 times 10. It's the expanded form. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This right here is the expanded form. And then up here, we have the value of the exponential form, okay? So let's go ahead and move on. If you guys want to pause, copy this down, go ahead and do so right now, and then we're going to move on. So we have, right, 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 in exponent form. Your repeated factor is 10. What's being repeated? 10. So 10 is going to be your base. So my base is 10. That's my base, that's my base, that's my base. That's my base. Now, my exponent. Well, the base is being repeated how many times? 7 times. Count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. My base is being repeated 7 times. So I'm going to write 7 as my power or my exponent. So in exponent form, this right here is my base 10. 10 is being repeated 7 times. So this is what I will look for if I ask you guys to write from expanded form to exponent form. I should see your exponent. Your exponent is telling me how many times that base is being repeated by itself. This looks good? I'm going to give you guys another one. Pause the video. I could have left that up there, to be honest. Let me change that back. Now I'm going to give you another one. Right now, this is written in expanded form. We're going to put this in exponent form. All right, in exponent form, we're going to see what is our base, what's being repeated. Ask yourself, look, what is being repeated? I see 10 a couple of times, so 10 is going to be my base. That is being repeated. Then you're going to say, well, how many times is that base being repeated? Well, you'll count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. So 10 to the 5th power is represented as that in exponent form. Now, if I wanted to write it in word form, I would say 10 to the 5th. Excuse my handwriting. It's kind of hard to write like this. 10 to the 5th power, or you can say the 5th power of 10. I know it was kind of jumbled up, but just pause the video, lean in if you have to copy this down. But I tried to make sure everything was big enough so you guys can see it. And sometimes I can write ginormous, so excuse me on that. But we have an exponent form, and we also have the same thing in word form, and here it is in expanded form. So that's 3 different forms. Now, if I wanted to find the value of 10 to the 5th power, how many zeros do you see? 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what's your exponent? 5. There you go. Simple as can be. Now let's move on. Here you guys have what we just did. I just have it written out in more detail. Same thing, 10 to the 7th power. The exponent 7 means the 7th power. So 10 to the 7th power in word form is the 7th power of 10. Or you can say, like we said earlier, 10 to the So in exponent form, there, because it has an exponent. In word form, the 7th power of 10 or 10 to the 7th power. And then the value of 10 to the 7th power is 70 million. Ta-da! Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Now, pause the video and copy this down exactly how it is. Once you're finished copying this down, you're going to see that I have the answers filled in for you. So be honest and copy this down, pause the video, and begin copying all of this down. Alright, so now that you have this unpaused and you're watching it, you should have an exponent form, 10 to the 4th power, with 4 being your exponent. And then we already have the word form, 10 to the 4th power or the 4th power of 10. The value is 10,000. An exponent form, 10 to the 9th power. In word form, the 9th power of 10 or 10 to the 9th power. The value is 1 billion. In exponent form, we have 10 to the 5th power. In word form, the 5th power of 10 or 10 to the 5th power. And then the value is 100,000. So let's recap our lesson. We worked on GSC 5 and BT2. Our lesson objective, we wrote and evaluated repeated factors in exponent form. Hopefully you guys got this and you enjoyed the video and found it was very easy. If not, go ahead and watch some of the Learn Zillion videos that we have that I have a unit plan for you. And if it's still not clicking after you watch this a couple of times, watch the videos. And then don't forget, when you come in, 5th graders, go to the back, to the binder, and find the worksheets for 5 and BT2 that go along with helping you how to work this standard out to mastery. And if you still don't get it, sign up for Davis Direct so we can come back here in a small group and I can work with you guys until you get it. That's all I have to say. Peace.